So Global Refuge is one of the nation's largest nonprofits dedicated to serving refugees and immigrants rebuilding their lives here in the U.S. We are a faith-based organization. We've been doing this work for 85 years. Our organization was founded by American Lutherans who were helping German Lutherans who had opposed the Nazi regime during World War II. Our mission has expanded since then, but our work today really focuses on resettling refugees from around the world who go through the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. They go through extreme vetting in order to arrive. In recent times, that's included about 24,000 Afghan allies who serve shoulder to shoulder with American troops and diplomats. We've also worked with Ukrainians who fled Russia's invasion, as well as Christians and others persecuted for the faith.
All right, so give us some background, too, on the funding that you guys have been getting from the U.S. government, specifically, if you could, and how much of your funding comes, or your budget, if you will, or funding comes from the U.S. government.
Yeah, so we've been a strong partner of the government for decades. The vast majority of our funding does come from government, but we don't make any money off of this work. In fact, we have to bring private resources to make the math work because, these programs are intended to be public-private partnerships. And so, the implications of the stop work order and now the failure to receive any reimbursements for the work that we've already done is paralyzing.
Krish, one thing, though, I think it's good for the American public, and we are so grateful that you're here, but to get an understanding of how much money are we talking about, can you give us even a ballpark of what you get from the U.S. government on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I'll just give you kind of an example of kind of a snapshot of the last month or so. So for work that we did at the end of the year, we have about 20 million that we're waiting for payment from one agency, and about 7 million that we're waiting for payment from another agency.
So that's for 1 month?
It's for a slightly longer period than that at the end of last year.
Okay, so give us an understanding, Krish, about the agreement that you have with the government and sort of if it's a contract, if it's expected, if you have to go and renegotiate every year. How is the money allotted from the government to you, and what sort of guarantee did you think was in place to continue that funding?
Yeah, so when you think about the impact that this is having on social service organizations across the board, it is not limited to the immigration space. So much of the infrastructure of the work that is done is by nonprofits, very much like mine, who do rely on government funding because obviously these are critical services that go to our citizens, to immigrants that we've legally admitted to the country. And so many organizations are impacted. We are not a contractor of the government in the way that you would think of, some of the consulting firms or the private prisons who get billions of dollars from the government. We know that these are partnerships where, days can change and they can, act and say we are going to no longer require your services. But right now, what we're talking about is funding for work that is under our grant agreement. It's a cooperative agreement for work that was done. There's no, caveat. There's no concern about whether it was covered. It's just a matter of going through the mechanism of reimbursement. Typically, it'll take a day once we've submitted for reimbursements for us to actually receive the funding. Sometimes, for one of our agencies, for the other agency, it can take about a week. But we have received nothing for the last couple weeks.
And Krish, do you guys get funding from other governments beyond the United States?
No, we don't.